This episode of Wake Up Wednesday is sponsored to you in part by Purified Water. Make sure you hydrate yourself.
Boy.
They ain't cut no check.
Morning.
Oh, that was stressful.
Morning. Listen, that was terrible. That was very terrible. Wasn't planned, wasn't scripted. I just freestyled it because I saw water in front of me. But good morning. All right, so we have our first technical difficulty already. So our guest host, give me 1 second. Yeah, baby.
I have so much pussy in my car.
Okay, let Daddy do the podcast. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. So our guest host is running late. So she's definitely she hit me up about 40 minutes ago, said that she was running late. So she will be popping on with us a little later. But you got us guys here. Another technical difficulty is my potty mouth got me banned from Facebook groups for 72 hours. So I'm probably only streaming this to my page. What can I say?
Oh my!
It's a thing. It's a recurring thing. But while we're improvising, what were we talking about? Parenting? What was we talking about?
Kids and no kids.
Yeah. Well, being a parent, being an entrepreneur, the different looks of being an entrepreneur. You know, you have entrepreneurs with children, you have entrepreneurs with partners, you have entrepreneurs with no children, with no partners, with children and partners. It's so many different variables when it goes into becoming an entrepreneur. This is why you shouldn't measure someone else's success or someone else's their wins or their achievements to your own, because everybody has a different situation. Will, what's going on? William, we got William coming on in a couple of weeks too, talking physical health. But just wanted to talk because the whole team, all four of us have different criteria to being entrepreneurs. So our wins are going to be different. A win is a win, obviously, we know that. But we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about understanding that somebody else's win can be more impactful to them. That might not be as impactful to you because your situation is different. So do we have any examples or y'all want to go, or how y'all want to do it? Because I know we kind of just freestyling, but I want Shanice to talk.
You want me to talk? No, I don't have an example. I'm tapped out.
Jesus.
Early. I ain't had coffee. You made me get on 30 minutes early.
45.
45 minutes. That's correct.
45 minutes. All right. So I'll give y'all an example. I'll do it. Let's use all three of us for an example. Let's say there's a networking event in Texas. Nobody's in Texas, right? We're all traveling in Texas. All right.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a network event in Texas, and children aren't invited, but you get a +1, right? And these are all hypotheticals. So Tamaya, I'm gonna throw you under the bus a couple times, but it's not realistic. But let's just say the three of us decide to go. Okay, you get a +1. So KP being the husband, I'm gonna pay for Jazz. That's already twice the pay because I have to buy 2 tickets if I decide to pay for Jazz. She might want to pay for herself, but as the husband, I feel like, nah, I got you. This is just my thing. So I'm already down. Let's do real money. Let's say the tickets are $100 each. So we'll do KP, Sharnice, and then Tamaya, right? So if the tickets are $200, the tickets are $100, and I'm buying 2, I'm already down $200, right? Mirror effect. What do I need to flip my mirror?
No, not you.
Oh, all right. I'm like, what? Okay. So now
Like,
let's use
what?
Shanice.
No.
Now let's say Shanice with her husband. Let's say AJ's like, nah, I'll take care of it. Actually, let's just say half because I want to give us all three different numbers. Let's say AJ decides I'll buy my own ticket. So Shanice is only paying 100 because her husband decides to buy his own ticket. So Shanice is paying 100. Now Tamaya, lucky Tamaya, let's just say her partner decides, nah, babe, I'll pay for both of our tickets. So Tamaya pays nothing. You know what I'm saying? All three of us are attending the same event. Tamaya gets to go for free. Shanice pays for just her ticket, and KP has to pay for 2 tickets, right? So that's just the tickets. Now we got to talk travel. Same situation. If the travel, well, one, we're coming from different locations, so obviously our ticket costs are going to be different. But let's just say, unrealistically, let's just say all of our ticket costs are going to be the same amount, just so we can keep the equation, good. So flights are going to be, for me, because I'm paying for 2 people. We'll just keep using hundreds as an example. So I'm paying $200 for me and Jazz's round trip. Shanice is only paying 100, and lucky Tamaya, Jesus, didn't pay $1 and got bumped up to first class. Whew, I wish I had a sugar daddy. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we covered the flight and we got the ticket. We're just gonna say that it's a local event. We don't need rental cars. I don't want to get too deep into it. But the hotel stays will probably be the same, only because there's no kids. But even still, guess what? How much Tamaya has to pay? Nothing. All right, so 0. Actually, no. Hotel stays does matter. So let's say the hotel stay for me, I'm paying for the whole hotel. It's $100. Shanice is splitting it with AJ, so she's only coming out 50, and then Tamaya's not paying anything. So for the same event, all three of us are entrepreneurs. We all work at the same, we're all making the same amount of money. But as an entrepreneur, KP for this one event spent $500. Shanice only spent $250, and Tamaya didn't have to spend anything.
Dang.
You can easily see how every entrepreneur's life is going to be different. So that $500 that I spent, guess what? Tamaya can take her $500 and invest it in the ads or something, or invest it into some type of programming or software or whatever in order to make more money for her business, as where I would have to come out of pocket more. Let's just say we all decided to invest $500 into marketing. Well, hell, KP's down $1,000 now. Shanice down $750, and Tamaya is only down the $500 she invested.
Maybe she might have got that. She might have got that paid for too.
Right. But that just shows you guys understanding that everybody's wins aren't going to be the same. So when somebody is proud, so like what we're talking here, let's just say we all went to this networking event and spent all this money that we spent, right? And leaving the networking event, Tamaya makes $1,000. She's like, oh wow, technically she profited $500, right? We all went to the same event, but she profited $500, including hotel, including all those other things, right? Bam. Shanice would have only profited $250. I wouldn't have profited anything. So for Tamaya to be happy, like, yo, I made $1,000 or I profited $500. In my mind, it's like, damn, that ain't shit. I broke even. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna belittle her achievement, because to her, she really, profited money and came out on top, as where I didn't, but it was only because of the situation that I'm in. And not saying it's a bad situation. Oh, there's Amanda. Not saying that it's a bad situation. It's just understanding that all of the situations are different, which is why you don't count other people's situations against them or against yourself or any of those things. So I just gave y'all some hypotheticals. That was just some space fillers until we got our guest speaker, the pop man. But we're here now. We are here. We're live already. We're good. Amanda, since you came, you won't be able to sync your channels. So if you go to any of our pages, you can just share the live so your people on your feed can see it.
Okay, sounds good.
Let her do that real quick, and then we can do introductions. Oh my God, Sharnice, you didn't let me apologize. I've been going for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and Instagram is probably like, why won't he answer us? Okay.
You always be like, you know, oh well with them. So I thought
We're
it
gonna
was just one
start
of
fresh.
them days.
Now that we got a man in here, we'll start fresh. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wake up Wednesday with the team. What's going on, y'all? We had our technical difficulties about 10 minutes ago, so I apologize. We do have a special guest speaker here, and I gotta do my apologies to Instagram. So good morning, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the places. Good morning to everybody. Instagram, I like to apologize to you guys like I do every Wednesday. I can't see your comments. I'm not sure why. They just do not populate in our feed for some reason. So if you guys are commenting from Instagram, please follow us on another channel if you're looking to comment because we won't see them. So always want to leave with that apology. Sorry it took me so long to say it. All right, cool. But this week we have a special guest. Amanda Journey, also known as the Credit Mortician. I've known Amanda for what? We're going on year 2 now, right? It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while. I've met Amanda in a group that we won't mention, but it was a group a while ago. You know, we were both in it. She was brand new. I don't know if I reached out to you or if she reached out to me, but we jumped on a Zoom call and I was just I tried to prepare for what was to come. It was this great journey of entrepreneurship, but
I think
Amanda bloomed. What was that?
I reached out to you. I think.
There you go. But she bloomed from it. You know, she has what you at 400K on TikTok?
420.
Almost a 500,000 followers on TikTok, y'all. Like this lady here is amazing. I won't sugarcoat your achievements. If you want to introduce yourself and let the people know who you are, that'll be great, and then we can get started.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Amanda Smith. I am a board certified credit specialist. I started my own credit repair company like 2 years ago, and I did that for about a year, and some stuff came up personally, and I decided to kind of step away from my business. And then I had an opportunity with another credit repair company. They're called James Warren Group. I don't know if you guys have heard of Dylan Shively. He's really well known in the credit repair industry. So I work with him now, and I'm a sales coach there, and I'm still doing credit repair, but just on a little bit different realm. So I make a lot of TikToks. I do a lot of credit education on TikTok, and I love it. So that's what I do.
There we go. Good morning, Bonnie. We got Will here. We got Darrell. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Okay, so we're getting ready to get started. Amanda, I got your Q&A from the paper. Pretty much how it works is, you know, we'll ask you our standard Q&As. If you guys that are watching us have any questions live, feel free to ask them. We'll pause the show. We'll ask your questions live to get your questions answered. You know what? Sorry, TikTok. I gotta go pull them up. Let me see. So the first question was, how long does credit repair take? I need to sit in somewhere.
Yeah, so it really just depends. There's not a certain amount of time that it takes for each person. Now, the way that we do things, we do 8 rounds, so 1 round a month. So we typically like to tell our clients that, you know, expect 6 to 8 months for the full process, but it really just depends on your specific credit report and what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve. But on average, I like to tell people 6 to 8 months.
There we go. All right. I was trying to get all the questions out. I'm prepped up. Okay, so 6 to 8 months. And that's a great window. Another question. This is a follow-up from me. Is there any situation where it would take someone less than 6 months or more than 12 months?
I think, you know, like I said, it really depends on your credit report. For someone who has a lot of derogatory items like bankruptcies, a lot of public records that, you know, take a long time to get off of there, then I kind of advise them, hey, you know, we do have a lot of items that we're working on. Expect a little bit more time. I like to overpromise, or I like to wait, what is it? What's the term?
Promise, over deliver.
Promise, over deliver.
Promise, over deliver.
She said over promise. I'm like, please.
No, I'll tell people, 8 months, 12 months, when really in reality it could always, take us 6 months. So if you don't have a lot of derogatory items, usually it doesn't take that long, but I've seen people sign up with only 4 or 5 things and they stay in for 12 months because it took us that long to get it off of there. So don't be fooled if you don't have a lot of negative items. Don't think that means that it's not going to take a lot of times, because that's not always the case.
Cool. We got our first one from TikTok. And let me pause it because I usually give this disclaimer. TikTok, I see you guys' questions and they kind of scroll. So as you guys are asking them, I'll be writing them down in order to ask them for you. But if she answers it prior to me asking, I apologize for the repetition. It's just because of the way that I'm able to grab the questions. So the question was from Juicy Juice Box. All right, that was the user. But the question says, can you get something removed that I actually owe? I paid it. I guess they're trying to type out the rest. It just says I paid. So go ahead.
Yeah, you can. But remember that just because we get something deleted off of your credit report doesn't mean that you don't still owe it. Even if you've paid it, we can get it removed off of there, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore because they're not going to come after you for that debt. But if you have debt on your credit report that you still owe and we get it removed, that's not deleting your obligation to pay it. That's just deleting it off your actual physical credit report. So, once we get something deleted off of your credit report, like a collection or a late payment, or specifically collections, those are the things that they're going to come after you for. You want to set up some kind of payment plan with them, or some kind of settlement with them, or some kind of agreement with the original creditor, so that way they're not coming after you and they can possibly sue you or resell the debt to another collection agency. So it's always important to settle your debts, even if we get it deleted off of your credit report, because like I said, that we're not deleting your obligation to pay.
Perfect. Listen, I'm enough people don't talk about that. Like and this is a KP pause, but enough people don't talk about the financial obligation still remains. And I want to be specific to the original creditor, what you keyed in on. Mm-hmm. They can still come and get that money. We try to tell you guys this, and we see TikTok, I know Man to Man are on TikTok all the time, but we see TikToks all the time where they're like, yo, I can delete late payments, bankruptcy, blah, blah, blah. But what they don't say is, after I remove them, you still are obligated, legally obligated to pay those debts. Mm-hmm. An example would be, let's say I had a Capital One credit card, right? Let's just say I got a Capital One credit card. I owe $5,000 on it, and Amanda's able to get it removed from me. That doesn't mean I no longer have to pay that $5,000. If Capital One wants to come and sue me for the money that I legally owe them, yes, it's off my credit profile. So cool. I'm at I got a 680 credit score now. It's not there. But that does not mean, oh, well, they're trying to sue me. I won't worry about it because I don't owe them. Who told you that you didn't owe them? Yeah. And that's where a lot of people are getting burned. Another thing to touch. Question. Does that mean we still have to pay? Yes. Sorry. You guys are kind of delayed. So that's literally what I'm explaining now. So, yes. Damn, I lost my train of thought. But yes, you still have to pay. It's just like Amanda said, you can not put yourself. You can call the original creditor and ask for payment plans. And you guys can do this while the accounts are still open too. Right. That's another thing we don't talk about enough. If you are running late, let's say with Capital One or whoever, we'll just keep using Capital One as our example. If you have a Capital One credit card and you're late 4 or 5 months, right? Let's say 3 months before they put it in collections, you can call them and explain to them, hey, I'm unable to pay this right now, but I also don't want to lose the account. Is there some way we can, work this out? I can't say from Capital One because I've never had the experience, but I did 5 or 6 years ago with Navy Federal. What Navy Federal did was they suspended my credit card, but allowed for me to make payments on it. Mm-hmm. Meaning they left the account open. I couldn't use it, but I could still pay on my credit card, which is beneficial to me. I won't be maxing it out anymore because I'm just paying it down. And Navy Fed is still going to get their money without having to go through the collection and charge-off process because that costs them money to do that. Right. So if they're willing to, leave it open and suspend it until I pay it down. Once I paid it back down, they opened it back up, which was another benefit for me. But it stopped me from being able to use that card. We think we're tricking the system, or we feel like, oh man, they let me, they gonna leave it open for another 30 days. Let me keep running it up. You're just making it worse. Put yourself in winning situations. And I think what happens is we feel like, okay, look, if they let me keep it open for 6 months without paying it back, then they're gonna let me keep it open forever. And we just decide, all right, I ain't gonna pay it. And you know what happens? I'm gonna tell you right now, Navy Federal, any CU, which is credit union, any CU, they lawyer it up. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The small local credit unions, the big credit unions, if it is a credit union, I guarantee you are getting a letter in that mail being served a subpoena. Please don't play with these credit. Well, don't play with your credit, period. But specifically, don't play with these credit unions. Capital One, you might weasel your way out. But if it's a credit union, they got some credit attorneys, and they will come for you. So I wanted to just touch on that. Go ahead. You got something, man? Oh.
No, I'm just saying, no, you're completely right. The credit unions will do that for sure.
Shanice, I think you're muted. Did you try to say something?
Yeah, some of these credit unions are unforgiving. So once you try to run off on them, you'll never be able to open an account with them again. Navy Federal is notorious for them. If you owe them $25,000 and you file bankruptcy thinking you're finna get out from under that debt, Navy ain't letting you come back. You owe me $25,000, sir. And they will hold you to that. They will not honor anything else because you ran off thinking you finna get over. They do not play about their money. Don't play with your credit, and definitely don't play with them.
Yeah, Navy Federal is a great credit union if you stay in their good graces. I mean, they give out a lot of high limit cards, and they have a lot of perks, but like you said, you have to stay in their good graces or else they're pretty much going to blacklist you.
I got one in now from King. Can they close my bank account if I have a credit card with them and didn't pay it? That one.
Can they close
I have a client. Oh, I'm sorry, Amanda. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking, can they close the bank account? I don't know.
Look, to answer the question, yes. If you are in check system, Navy Federal, let me tell y'all something. A lot of these credit unions, they do not play when it comes to banking, being inside of a bank system, EWS, check systems. If you find yourself defaulting on any other bank that will fall into something that is associated with the credit union that you want, they will freeze your bank account. I had a client that called me and was like, I'm in a check system and I don't know how to get out. And I'm like, what? So I had to order that report specifically and do the work behind that to pull him out of it. And it was for like a $90 debt that he was in, that he had paid, but they didn't take him out of the system yet. So, no, if you Navy Federal freeze, they don't care if you have an account with them, they're going to freeze it and make sure that you are honoring your financial obligations, and then they'll release it. I think it takes like 30 days to go through the process. But yeah, like, no, don't, if you have a bank account, just stop defaulting with these banks, because the more and more people try to get around and trick the system, and they're coming up with these hacks and all of that jazz, they're gonna hack y'all out of bank accounts.
There you go. See, I just learned something new. I'm glad somebody had the answer, because I had a little question mark over my head. But that just shows that they don't play. It's like if you have a Navy Fed, we'll talk Navy Fed. I guess if you default now, I guess a follow-up question. This is from me. Can they take your money? I know they can freeze your bank account from that, but can they take your money? So, example, let's say I have $10,000 in my Navy Federal bank account, right? And I have a $10,000 Navy Federal credit card. Say I max the credit card out, decide not to pay it. Can Navy Federal legally take my checking account money to pay that? Or
any bank can.
Oh shit. Okay.
Any bank can. If you have a credit card with them, and or like multiple accounts with them, and let's say you overdraft on one and you like, I'm not gonna do, they will pull the money. If it's in their contract to do that, nobody reads the fine print. So I'm gonna say read your contract and see if that's something that they can do. But a lot of them do have clauses where if you owe them and you have a bank account with them, they can pull the money, and you've, needed the account or whatever and probably signed off on it. So and they can use the electronic signatures. So,
that's one of those millions of pages that they get you to sign when you first open a bank account. Like,
yeah,
I can attest. Certain contracts I'm not reading. If it's a business contract, if I'm doing something with another entrepreneur or another business owner, yeah, I'm reading it, or I'll send it to somebody, pay somebody else to read it that I trust. But in regards to those contracts, we're not reading them. It's gotten to the point where they literally have a skip to bottom button on contracts where you can hit the button, it brings you all the way down to the bottom, and you accept the terms. Like,
I'm fast scrolling. Nobody. But not most, but if you open it up a bank account, people trust their banks that they're not going to try to, get over on them. So
yeah,
nobody's going to read it, or the average person, I'll say, won't read it.
Gotcha. So no more right now. Let's go back to our questions. All right, Amanda.
Yeah.
How do you get things deleted off of a credit report? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, so, we use the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and the FDCPA, which is Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, which mandates how accounts are to be reported on your credit report. So, we go in and we use different methods. We use factual disputing, we use Metro 2 reporting, and we find those discrepancies and those, those things that aren't reporting correctly, because under the FCRA, it states that you have the right to a fair and accurate credit report. And if you have things on your credit report that aren't accurate, like, dates, time, or not times, but amounts, etc. We can use that and leverage that to get that deleted by using dispute letters and things like that to send off to the credit bureaus and the original creditors to challenge them and make them either report it correctly or, have them deleted altogether.
All right. So let's or Tamaya or Shanice, can we get a simpler breakdown? Because us as credit repair specialists, we understand what she said. But can we get like
Tamaya, you take this one because my brain don't do simple.
So you want me to break down like that process of using those methods?
No, just like a simpler consumer friendly version, because Amanda just gave the real legal jargon.
I feel like it's pretty simple, but I can break it down if I need to.
All right, cool. Whoever, we just Oh wait, before we do that, I got somebody. DJ Steve Mack says my credit union reported my credit card as a charge off, but it's not shown on my credit report. That's all he said. Okay, so it's good that it's not reported, but if they did report it, it'll pop up eventually. That's what it sounded like. Yeah. It just hasn't reported yet. It could take up to 90 days for it to actually report. And that's, I guess I'll ask that question next. I don't want us to get distracted. I'll ask a specific question that'll relate to what you just said, Steve, once we get this answer out. Sorry. So yeah, can either one of you ladies break down like a simpler version of what we do to actually fix the credit?
Yeah, if you want to, you can go ahead and break that down for us, because I'm not sure if I can in the best layman terms.
I think the simplest way to put it is we're using the rules that they are supposed to be playing by against them. And most of the time, the normal person doesn't know that these rules are in place to protect them. So they're getting away with it because people don't know. So we just go in and pretty much point out things that they should be doing, or, making them confirm like, hey, have you done this correctly? Are you sure? And giving them the opportunity, and then disputing more after that and taking it to higher levels depending on which method you want to use to file complaints and things like that.
Right. And the biggest thing we're doing is we're asking for proof. Like, okay, if this is my debt, if this is reporting correctly, prove it. Send us the original contract. Send us, whatever you have on this account to prove that you are reporting this correctly. And most of the times they can't. And if they can't, then we have to we get it deleted for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go with now my follow-up to you, Steve. The reason why it could take, when I said it could take up to 90 days, the reason why I say that is because the creditors report, they only report once every 30 days. However, the CRAs, which is the credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, and yada, 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 they report or they update on a once every 30-day schedule as well. So if those dates don't match up, let's say your creditor, let's give a real example. Let's say your creditor reports something on January 15th, but your account was already refreshed on January 12th. That means the January 12th update that you receive won't have it there because it hasn't been reported technically. You have to wait a full 30 days for it to refresh. Actually, I think I said that wrong. I think I said it backwards. I think it's after the reporting. So let's say they reported it on the 12th. Yeah, I'm sorry. But then it got updated 3 days later. You have to wait a full 30 days from the January 12th update to not see it. And then on that next update, which is 30 days later, you'll see the reporting from the 15th, which technically could be up to 60 days, depending on how often you refresh your account. If you're working for a company, they're only going to be refreshing it once a month anyway. And that could be why you're not seeing it. Most apps, most third-party apps refresh, I believe they refresh once a month. Some, I think you could pay an upgrade to refresh once a week, but it's really no point of paying that upcharge to get refreshes once a week if you're maintaining a healthy credit profile. Thank you. I signed up on your website. Appreciate it. Okay, we got another question from the Facebook crowd. It says, have you guys gotten stuck with a client with no deletions? If stuck, what's the next process? Question mark CFPB. So I guess this is an all question. So if anybody wants to tackle it, you guys, and I'll ask it again if it's unclear. Have you guys gotten stuck with the client with no deletions? If so, what's the next step in the process? And I'm sure we all have different processes, so it's cool if we all have different answers. Because I know what my answer would be. Who wants to start? I think Shanice is froze. Yes, she's froze. All right, so Amanda, Tamaya, one of y'all want to go first?
Yeah, so if we have a client that we can't get anything deleted for, it really just depends on the circumstance, but we can go to the CFPB, we can file FTC reports, but it really just depends on the situation and how many rounds we've done and what the account is, who it's with, because that will determine how aggressive we are with them, depending on who the accountant is and what type of account it is. So I think I don't think it's going to be the same. It's not really the same for every client. It's really going to be specific on what account we're trying to get deleted that hasn't come off of there yet.
Cool. How you handle it, Tamaya?
I would say the same way, but also in the beginning, I make things clear to my clients that there may be a chance where we have to go back and negotiate, because the end goal for you may be to get a house or to get a car. Those two goals will be different, but for a house, they're going to look at every single thing that you have done. So you want to make sure that you are clear of all debt. So I kind of prep them for that. But if we can't get whatever the item is off, we may have to go back and say, we're willing to pay XYZ. And I never encourage my clients to pay the full amount. I teach them how to negotiate and give them a number that is not round. And then we go from there and see what we can do, because the point is to get you to your end goal without having as many derogatories on your credit report, so that you can have a good profile. So better interest rate.
That's and again, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we also do a lot of negotiating after it comes to that point, and that's where the pay for delete comes in. So we can request, hey, we can't get this deleted based on XYZ. Would you be willing to take a portion of what I owe in turn for deleting it on my credit report? If they're not willing to delete it from your credit report, then it's not really going to do you any good by paying it. Besides, either if you're trying to buy a house by getting your DTI down, then of course I would recommend paying it. Or you can kind of take your chances. I kind of tell my clients, you can take your chances and pay it if you want to at this point. But if you don't have a pay for delete in writing, there is a chance that it will come back if you don't pay it.
Mm-hmm.
And then both of those are good. I'm gonna add to it. Shanice would have Shanice would have said this, but you can also go to litigation if, big if, have to put if in capital letters, if you can definitively prove that there are inaccuracies on the report and still not getting any deletions. But it also takes about 4 months of constant mail. You can't do regular snail mail. If you want to go to the litigation route, you have to send certified mail. You have to have something that is 100% trackable with proof, because the attorney's going to ask you for that. What have you tried? And if you're just like, oh, I sent in a couple letters, where are the letters? Where's the proof that you sent the letters? If you have no proof, an attorney's not even going to want to take the case to help you out. Right. I'm not an attorney. I can't tell you the step-by-step processes of having an attorney, but I do know that those are the bare minimum basics to even beginning any type of litigation or arbitration, is having a definitive paper trail that you've actually tracked. You have signatures that somebody received it. You have proof that you actually mailed it. Look, I keep these on my desk because we send certified, you know. So I have to have these to be able to let my clients know, like, yo, this is when we sent it. This is who received it, yada, yada, yada. It does cost a little bit more, but it's worth it in the event that somebody, you know, goes, let's say they go 6 rounds with no deletions. It's like, okay, well, here are all 6 months of letters. These are the people that signed for these letters. I need you to contact an attorney. You know, I may or may not have anyone that's available in your area, but you need to contact a consumer law attorney and have them pick up the case. That's not something that me as a credit repair specialist can handle. You know, I don't handle court cases or anything like that, but I will give you all the paperwork and all the work that we did for you in order for them to pursue litigation like that. And Shanice would have given you guys a more detailed answer. She actually does sue the credit bureau. So that hopefully she'll be back. Hopefully she'll be back and she can drop some fire on that. But that's where I'm coming from. We got DM on IGT. It says sending affidavits to the company's registered agent. Okay. So he's giving some advice on arbitration. Yeah, see, I'm not too savvy with the arbitration. Sharnice is. So if she can come back, then that's something that you two can talk about. She can talk more about it. I just know the basics of where I hear her telling me. DJ Steve says, well, I'm retired military and the account is really old. My experience is 705. My Equifax is 667. My trans is 671. How can I get them to match? Anybody? I have my answer.
Yeah, they're never gonna match. They're never gonna be the same. In case you guys don't know, the reason why your scores are so different between each bureau is because not every account that you have reports to the same bureau. So you might have a collection that's reporting to Equifax and Experian that's not reporting to TransUnion. Therefore, your score is going to be different with each bureau. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't make the numbers matching my goal. I would make your credit report being as squeaky clean as possible being your goal, and then your numbers are going to reflect.
There you go. That was my answer. That was literally what I was going to say. Is like that works for the positives and for the negatives, because some of your positive accounts won't report to all 3 bureaus. You may have a credit card that only reports to TransUnion and Equifax, meaning your TransUnion and Equifax are going to be stronger than your Experian because it's not giving Experian the boost. You know, that was unintended, but it's like having negatives be reported and having positives be reported. Once you get to 15 plus accounts and you have holes in which accounts are reporting to where, you're going to have 3 different scores. But like Amanda said, the data points is what's more important on your profile. As long as you have all positive accounts, that's good. As long as your utilization across all your accounts is low, that's good. As long as the age continues to grow, that's good. So you're not really worried about the numbers matching, as long as you understand how the profile is supposed to work, and then you can strengthen profile. If you want to do your research, you can go as far as to find out what credit card companies report to maybe your weakest link credit profile and only apply for that, only apply for those companies so you can strengthen it. Like an example would be my Experian and my TransUnion are 750, but my Equifax is a 700. It's like, okay, well, I definitely want to boost my Equifax. Let me figure out what credit card companies report to Equifax only, or specifically to Equifax, and only apply for those companies to make sure I can strengthen my Equifax profile, which in return will strengthen your entire profile, overall. But that's one way of doing it. But in terms of matching it, Steve, that should never be the goal. Don't ever worry about trying to match them because you will drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
You could be off by 1 point, or you could be off by 70 points. I've seen this. You know what? I'm gonna make a TikTok about this later. I'm glad we're saying this. I've seen a credit profile where a client has a score in the 5, 6, and 7s. Like literally all three bureaus. One was in the 500s, one was in the 600s, and one was in the 700s. And it was because all of them are reporting differently. So it's like, it's crazy, but it's possible. Okay, thank you. No problem, man. Appreciate the comments and questions. Anybody else? TikTok, feel free. Go crazy. Shoot up them likes. Ask as many questions as you guys want. And everybody else, same thing. Where we at? Oh no, I already read that question. Okay, so TikTok, I got you guys squared away. I hope if I haven't asked your question, I apologize. I scratched off everything on my board. Ask it again if I didn't say it out loud. I'm sorry. I printed all of my reports every 3 months. Shanice, that's a question for you. Is the annual credit report still free? Didn't they extend it?
Yep, it's I don't know when the cutoff date is. It's every week you can get a new report.
Okay.
I get mine as often as I possibly can, waiting for something to pop up.
So Steve, you heard that? You can still get your credit report for free every week at annualcreditreport.com. Is it free annual credit report? I don't know. Look, I never use it. It's annualcreditreport.com.
Annual credit report.
Annual.
Okay.
Annual credit report.
Annualcreditreport.com. You can get all three of your scores for free, still for every week. So pick a day of the week and just know that day of the week you want to go to get it refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
Darius said, "Dropping fire." Appreciate you, brother. Maul says, "How long would you dispute before turn?" Oh, I'm glad Maul asked this question, so we can answer this, and then we got something for you specifically, Shanice, that was asked a little earlier. How long, this is for whoever wants it. How long would you dispute before turning the file over to an attorney?
Amanda, you want to take this one? Because my answer is going to vary. Mine is very different from yours.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of like litigation or like we don't do a lot of that, but we have a consumer law attorney that we work with that we turn accounts over to, and typically we will dispute 8 rounds, and if we can't get something off that we've been trying to dispute for at least 8 months or more, then we would turn it over to them. But like I said, it really just depends on the specific account and the specific situation and what account we're working with, and what exactly it is.
So my answer would be initiate liability against the company within the first 30 days, turn it over to an attorney almost immediately.
Oh, there you go.
As soon as the company is held liable for any type of violation, I immediately turn it over. I present the case in its entirety to my team of attorneys, and we just go from there. The process can take, once it goes over to an attorney, it's going to take maybe 6 to 8 weeks or something like that for the negotiations and stuff. But I don't like to, I love my clients, but I'll try to, with this new process that I have now, I'll try to minimize the time that they're with me, because, we all know that they're violating our consumer rights, and our clients' consumer rights. So.
All right. So let me go back.
Results like doing that way? Do you get good results when it comes to,
results and a check?
She getting checks, but that's why I want to go back. Steve said, yes, I pay for Experian every month. Yeah, Experian is really good because it shows your FICO scores for all 3 bureaus. If you have I believe it's the Boost, or maybe it's the upgraded Experian account, but one of them, I just know that they do show your FICO, so that's good. But if you want to get the updates every week, you can get it from that site that we gave a little earlier.
Annualcredit.com.
Backtracking, Shanice, we were talking a little bit about arbitration and litigation.
Yes.
So I can't remember the specific question because it's TikTok cuts you off after a certain limit when more comments are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, do either of you remember what I wanted to ask? I know it was about your process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is your, well, I guess you kind of explained it, but what is your litigation process when it comes to like handing it over to an attorney?
I'm documenting the entire process from the first dispute all the way until when the violations are committed, outline the violations, and then hand it over.
How do you send the letters?
Regular,
You send
regular
it
standard
regular?
mail. Yeah, but I mean, if they pay for certified mailing and stuff like that, then you could pay for certified mailing. But I send it regularly. They're going to respond some type of way. They either gonna say we're not gonna dispute for whatever reason, or we don't know if this is you. So you know what I mean? They can't deny unless they're just flat out, not responding at all. They can't deny that they're not getting the letters because obviously you responded to something. You said you didn't know if it was me, especially if it's a first, dispute, or you said that I needed to send more documentation. So there's always proof that they're getting it. You just have to look at the letters and read it at face value. That's what it is.
I got two just came in while you were talking. DM on IG says if she could walk us through the process, it would be great. That's the first one. Then I read the second one. So I guess all right, use me an example. If I come to you, I'm your client. What's the process for me?
Pulling your reports from annualcreditreport.com. I do use Identity IQ now almost exclusively because it works the best with my CRM as far as like importing reports. So I pull, I guess, Identity IQ, then annual credit report based on if there are errors found on the surface, like the first 24 months for the IQ report. What is that? Is that me?
What is that?
That beeping
Oh,
noise?
that's a man. I was like, I heard it the first time.
Okay, so basically pull the reports, point out everything that's wrong or circle everything that's wrong, start the dispute whatever it is that you're going to dispute based on whatever is in the report. Wait for them to respond however they respond, and you just document the process. Once you get to the point where you're like, okay, these rights are being violated, then you can either dispute if you want to, or you can just send it over to an attorney.
All right. And that you said that for you, it only takes what, 30 days? Or I guess it starts after 30 days.
It depends on how, if they're violating the rights immediately, or if they're like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying 30 days based on how the credit bureaus are responding. Are they stalling? Are they outright, verifying obviously like blanket obvious information that's inaccurate, like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? That's going to determine whether or not, or how fast should I say, whether or not it's going to go to an attorney.
Okay. So there's no real time window. It just depends on when the violation occurs.
Mm-hmm. As soon as it happens, it's going right over to an attorney, period.
All right. Cool. DM, if you got any follow-ups, I'll ask them for you. Steve's question says, how long should I keep a credit freeze because I opt out of LexisNexis and I think his verbiage got cut off. How long should I keep a credit freeze because I opt out of LexisNexis and on Innovis and that was it. Credit freezes, in my personal opinion, a credit freeze doesn't protect what's already there. It just prevents future things from getting there. So depending on how often you're using your credit, or if you feel like you could become a victim of identity theft, leave it on there as long as you need to. You can leave a credit freeze on your credit profile forever, because every time you know that you're going to apply for something, you're going to have to unfreeze it. But if you're doing it with the hopes of like using it to clean up your credit, is not doing that. It's preventing future people from trying to use your credit, not the process.
Right.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of you're going to see, especially on TikTok, you're going to see a lot of credit repair companies that say that you have to do that or need to do that in order to get negative items deleted. But I've done it both. Like whenever I first started, I would freeze secondary, third-party bureaus, and I kind of did half. I did half of my clients and I froze their reports, and then I did half and I didn't freeze their reports, and I saw no difference when it comes to results. So it's only going to protect you, in like KP said, it's only going to protect you in the future, not what's already on your report. So if your purpose for freezing it is for cleaning up your report, it's not going to do that.
DM came back. He said, I was talking about sending it over to the attorney process. How do we sue the bureaus? Can she talk about that? So I guess how do we actually send it to an attorney?
Send it to an attorney.
Yeah, I think
elaborate.
I think elaborate. Like what kind of attorney? Like how would you go about?
Right. How do you find the attorney? Right, like all of the whole process, Johnny.
So I'm assuming that this is somebody working on their own credit, and this is not a business, right? So if I am a person and I'm working on my own credit, I'm going to call a consumer attorney that specializes with suing the credit bureau, not just a regular FCRA attorney, because some of them, and it's becoming more prevalent now, more attorneys are getting intimidated about going up against the credit bureaus because it's a lot of consumers who don't know how to initiate disputes properly. They don't know what they're doing. They're on TikTok. They're watching these videos and they say stuff like, oh, well, you can sue them, but they don't know how to sue them. So you document your entire process. You find somebody that specializes specifically with suing the bureaus. You ask them, how many have they sued? Have they ever sued debt collectors and stuff like that? When you are meeting with these attorneys for a consultation, you're literally interviewing somebody that's going to handle your case. And then you kind of have to do a little bit of work yourself and understand or learn a little bit about the processes, because I'll tell you now, these attorneys, they are not here to try to get you the biggest bag that they possibly can. They want in and out. They settling out of court. Most cases are settled out of court. So if you want somebody that's trying to go to court or like go with the jury and all of that stuff, you don't have to find somebody that wants to do that. And you're going to find a lot of attorneys don't want to do that. They want in and out. You know, they want to be able to negotiate a settlement offer, you know, over the phone, and they will push for just $1,000 for whatever it is, assuming that there's an actual violation that occurred. So when you are writing them up, you have to tell them what violations it were, and then let the paralegal, they'll evaluate the case and tell you if you actually have a case. For me, I know exactly what I'm looking for based on whatever the profile is. There's so many different scenarios that I can't specify for one, but any violation that's in the FCRA handbook that they state is a violation. I'll say the easiest one is permissible purpose. If they don't have permissible purpose, the FCRA tells you exactly what that is. If they don't have proof of that, they don't have a case. So, you know, if that makes sense, y'all. You just send everything over to them, though. They'll tell you if they have a case, and if you do, you'll sign a retainer agreement and stuff like that. Make sure you read through it very thoroughly, and then sign it if it's somebody that you want to work with.
There you go. All right. It said, DJ Steve says, thanks, I appreciate it, but with the credit freeze, it will help. Well, I don't know if this is a question or if it's a statement, Steve. It says, thanks, I appreciate it, but with a credit freeze, it will help after 30 days when I start to dispute. I don't know if he's telling us it will. I mean, even though we know it won't, or if he's asking us, will it? Yeah, because if you're telling us,
no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't understand if that was a question or a statement, but if it was a question, then the answer is no, it will not. If it was a statement, oh, he said no, that was my question. Okay, so yeah, with that being a question, the answer is no, it will not. The credit freeze will not help you with the dispute process. It will help you with future identity theft if anybody tries to use your credit. One example, and this is a good example. I had a client, this was about 1.5 years ago. A client froze their credit profile and went to the dealership to get a car. After they followed my process to get the bank from the check from their bank, they already had the money. The car dealership should not have ran their credit, right? Because they already had a check in hand. They didn't need it. They wanted to bypass the process. They said, hey, listen, I already got my money. I just want a car. Here's the check. The credit dealership still tried to run their credit. And the only reason they know is because TransUnion called him, hey, did you try to process, did you try to run your credit at this Ford dealership or wherever? I can't remember. It was over a year ago. And he was like, yeah, I'm here, but I didn't authorize them to do that. Now that I'm in the education space that I am now, I realize that's a violation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You illegally tried to run my credit after I verbally told you not to, and I didn't sign any authorization form. So, if I knew now what I didn't know back then, he could have had a situation on his hands. But he just it didn't add the increase to his credit profile because of the freeze, and he was able to get the car because he had the money from the bank already anyway. So that's an example of when a freeze would help. DM on IG said, "Bruh, she not gonna tell us." I don't know if the question's been answered wrong. I don't know specifically what he's trying to get. This is the person that's about how do you send over to the attorney? How do we sue the bureaus? And that was his follow-up. So I don't know.
So is he asking me? That sounds like a consultation question. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If you want me to go into depth and elaborate exactly how you should do it, then that's a consultation. But I literally gave you the process when I said dispute the items and then give everything to an attorney and allow them to evaluate the situation. That's the short answer. If you're looking for what laws to use for yours in particular, book a consultation with me. KP can, I'll give the link to him, for him to forward to you or whatever. But that's very, very specific. And your situation might be very unique. I don't know.
Oh, he said, example, step one, contact American Arbitration Association. Oh yeah, I think he's asking for like you just said. I think he wanted a detailed breakdown of what you should do. But it sounds like from your examples,
you can just Google an attorney near you. You don't have to go to, like all of these. If you're doing arbitration is not litigation. So what, again, it's going to vary. Your situation may be very different. If you think you have arbitration, you need to have a contract that specifies arbitration in it. That's not litigation. It's two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Look. This is her realm. I don't handle litigations nor arbitrations. I just know the basic educational knowledge of the world. So this is why I lead with that, because I don't have a back and forth about the process. I don't know the process. I say I don't know the process. I let y'all know that up front. But you too, brother. All right. So yeah, we covered that. I think we got one more for Amanda, and then we can kind of freestyle the rest. Let's see. Our last one was, this is a big one. Should I file for bankruptcy?
Ooh, again, it is all circumstantial. All right, a lot of these questions are very circumstantial. Bankruptcy, a situation for one person, bankruptcy might make sense, but the other person, it might not. I always suggest going through credit repair first, working with a credit specialist, seeing what we can do first. And, what can we settle? What can we negotiate? What can we get deleted? And then at the end of the process, say, hey, this is what we were able to do. This is what's left. Let's see if bankruptcy, still makes sense for you. Because, bankruptcy is not always a bad thing. It can, help a lot of people out, but it really just depends on the circumstance and what kind of debt that you're in and what kind of accounts that you have.
Right. And I feel like with bankruptcies, for me, and then we're all going to have our own opinions, but for me, a bankruptcy to me only makes sense if, let's say you lost your job, you have no form of income, you have absolutely no way to pay anything back. Credit repair, obviously I can't even pay for credit repair, so that would be an expense at that point where it's like, I can't do these things. I don't have enough money to print my own letters and do it myself. Then bankruptcy would make sense. But if you guys have a 9-to-5, if you guys have a part-time job, you guys have anything, then it's probably better to try to do credit repair first, because a lot of people personal friends of mine included, are choosing bankruptcy over credit repair, thinking that it's like a get out of debt free card, and it's not. It's actually a make your profile worse card, because when the bank's a creditor, see that bankruptcy, that's the biggest red flag. I would rather have 5 collections than 1 bankruptcy, because that bankruptcy holds weight. That bankruptcy tells a that bankruptcy tells a creditor, once upon a time, X amount of people lended you money and you pay any of them back. Mm-hmm. Obviously they won't know the amount, without doing their research, but the fact that you filed bankruptcy lets me know that it was at least 3. You ain't filing bankruptcy for no 1 collection. Most people got a repo, a couple charge-offs, a couple credit cards. They might have student loans on it. It's usually a collection of things, typically over $100,000 in total debt, where it's like, I don't have the money to pay this back. Let me go ahead and charge it off, or let me go ahead and bankruptcy it out. And that's not okay. We're not, us credit repair specialists, we're not miracle workers. We're not just gonna magically make these things go away. I hate when people, I've heard this before. I don't know if you ladies have ever heard this before, but I've heard this and it really pissed me off. Someone said, "Oh, okay, so if I run up this check and don't pay it, you could get it removed from me." So what you're telling me is that you have absolutely no intention of paying this money back, because you expect a credit repair specialist to get it deleted from your credit profile, and that is not how it works. So you got to have a better mindset. You got to be willing to, better your situation and things like that before you choose any route. Set up a game plan. Figure out if bankruptcy is the best route. Figure out if credit repair is the best route, and execute your game plan, and then navigate through your execution. But just simply saying, "Oh, I filed bankruptcy," I'm about to get these credit cards, max them out, and file bankruptcy. I ain't got to pay them back. That is the worst decision that you could ever make. So please do your research. Pay attention. Shanice, you could tap in on the bankruptcy, but that's mine. I don't do it unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah. I'm gonna say consult with an attorney. So I mean, I had a client that came to me and was like, "I'm filing bankruptcy. I just can't handle the debt." And I looked at this person's debt, and it was $1,300. $13. I had, and this is me personally, years ago when I was dumb and in my first marriage, my ex ran up so much debt. I think we had about $75,000, and both of us were working, maybe bringing in like 20,000 each or whatever. But the debt was unmanageable because he kept racking. And so I was like, let's file bankruptcy. I didn't know no better back then. I'm like, we got to get out from under this debt. What I didn't understand at the time was certain bankruptcies are not beneficial. Chapter 13, run. You're better off filing a Chapter 7. We filed Chapter 13. Worst decision of my life. I got my profile together, but the bankruptcy was still there. And then I got a collection afterwards. You have a dismissed Chapter 13. Even if your profile looks moderately okay, you will be denied for that single collection. You will be denied for late payments and all of that stuff. And they'll go back to saying, "Oh, well, you have a public record." And so for me, it was not beneficial filing a bankruptcy period at all. I was on the hook because it was dismissed Chapter 13. I was back on the hook for paying all the debt again. Luckily, I was fortunate enough that most of the creditors that we had were being sued, and they were included in class action lawsuits, like right back to back. So all of the debt ended up being waived, but I did not have a pleasant experience at all with bankruptcies. If you have under $100,000, I'm gonna say under $100,000, chances are, unless it's like repo after repo after repo, chances are you can get all of it cleaned up. And you can do it through credit repair. Or the legal notices being sent and received and stuff like that. Like, before you get to the point where you're like, I have to file bankruptcy, reach out to somebody that knows what they're doing, that knows how to look at a report, knows what data points they're looking for, and then let them, do whatever they're going to do. But please make sure it's somebody that you trust. before bankruptcy becomes an option. Because if I can save you, 7 to 10 years, let me do that. You know what I'm saying? Or Amanda, or whoever, whoever it is, let somebody that's an expert in the field do that. Everybody does not do the same thing. So please study whoever it is that you want to trust with your credit before you do it. But if bankruptcy is the absolute, I can't do it, I'll be $1 million in debt. I'm not even finna lie. I'll be $1 million in debt before I ever think and consider filing bankruptcy again. So that's just my personal take on it. Consult with an attorney for your particular situation, but I don't recommend them at all.
All right, there you go. There you go. Looks like we had a successful podcast, right? I guess we typically close out around now. Amanda, thank you. How can the people reach out to you? I usually, I came in a little late. I usually have your contact at the bottom on my TikTok thing, but we can pop it up here now. How can the people, anybody that's interested, because this will live on our YouTube forever, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so you guys can reach out to me at my website. It's www.thecreditmortician.info, info, or just look me up on TikTok. It's at The Credit Mortician. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well. So just type in The Credit Mortician. You should be able to find me.
thecreditmorticianinfo.com?
Yep, www.thecreditmortician.info.
Oh, .info. Whoops. Yeah. All right, there you go. Save that. Let me pop that on the screen. Can you confirm if that's right or not, so that way they can screenshot it?
Yep, that's it. And then we can do we do free consultations, and then your quote for credit repair is based on your credit report. We don't do a set price monthly. We set our pricing based on your credit report, because not everybody's price should be the same, because not everybody's credit report is the same.
Exactly.
So.
All right. Cool. So. Man, appreciate you for coming on. We never have enough time to talk about your TikTok journey. That's a whole nother story. But appreciate you for coming on. Everybody, anybody that stayed with us to the end, this is how you contact Amanda: www.thecreditmortician.info. Yep. Make sure you do .info. You can get your free consultation. Y'all know we whenever we had guest speakers, we always bring y'all something for free, right? Free consultations. Mm-hmm. It don't hurt to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? DM on IG. I'm not sure if he's still with us on TikTok, but bro, you can reach out to Amanda, you can reach out to Shanice, you can reach out to Maya, all three credit repair specialists, and they can get you those answers. Specifically the ones that you're asking, you probably want to reach out to Shanice, because she goes in depth with that. But yeah, free consultations. There's no charge, there's no obligation to sign up or anything like that. Figure out what your situation calls for, and get it handled, man. We need a closeout phrase, and that's the podcast or something like that.
No.
You are now closing out with Wake Up Wednesdays with the Academy. You got had that little dude's voice with the Academy.
Oh my God, no.
All right, y'all.